Not all days are gardening days, especially when the weather's been badly behaved out there. But for me, it's a perfect time to snuggle up into my office with the kids. Rolo is removing the curtain from the curtain rail, but we'll ignore that. But what it is a safe place to learn, to enrich your mind. We've always got to learn, and many of us have so many books that we don't take time to sit and just go through and feed our minds and become inspired. And that is exactly what I love spending this time doing. Refresh your mind, sharpen the sword, as they say, learn the skills, because there is always something else to learn. And all of a sudden, paging through my favorite books on a garden in France, Penelope Hobhouse, one of the greatest garden designers probably in the world, something just sparks. And an area that you might have been troubled by, that just wasn't working, all of a sudden it springs to life. Besides that, this time is really fun. In today's episode of The Gardener, we visit the residential garden of interior designer Michael Hogan. But first, I have an easy and impressive hanging shelf DIY to share with you. Folks, today we're going to show you how to make a beautiful DIY hanging shelves, and all you're going to be needing as the major element is some thread bar. It really is easy. So, number one, I've got 3 planks. I got these from one of those second-hand wood shops that salvage all the wood, and I just couldn't resist them. I had no idea what I was going to make with them, but I needed them, as one does. So I've given them a light sand, folks. These are 1 meter. The planks, they're 60 millimeters in thickness. They're really nice and chunky, and I want that industrial kind of oldie look in the finish. And you can see they've been beaten up about here, and I don't want that to be smooth. That is the last thing that I want. So light sanding has happened to them, and what I need to do now is get them ready for painting, because we're going to use a color into a sealer so that you're doing it all in one. So it's going to treat the wood, seal it, protect it, plus give me just a little bit of bling, which is the color that I'm looking for. Right, folks, so what I've got here is my sealer. Now, I've got the colorant here. I love this product because you get all different types, and it's very simple to use. You really can't mess it up. It's one of these into 1 liter. Let's open this up. There we go. Let's pop it over here. Right, lovely. Give this guy a good shake, and then in goes my opal colors, which is what it's called, into here. Nice and easy. You can't mess this up, guys. And then a good stir. Oh, can you see? Look at that. Isn't that fab? Remember, this is the colorant and it's got the sealer in it, so it's kind of 2 jobs in one. All right, so here we go. These have already had their dust off, and let's get painting. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, start on the one side, and off we go. We're going to end up with like a washed look, which is exactly what I'm wanting because of the pots that I'm wanting to put on here. Remember I said I want that kind of beaten up, almost industrial, cottagey look, if that makes any sense, but it's got a bit of steel with it, with the thread bar. It's got this washed blue look. I hope it's going to be as gorgeous as I imagine. I'm using Wood Oak 30, a low gloss clear wood ideal for outdoor applications. Not only does it offer excellent UV protection and water repellency, but when it comes to adding color, there's a wide selection of colors to choose from. Wood Oak colors are meant to be added to clear sealers to provide endless decor possibilities around your home. Folks, it's looking beautiful. Just the color that I was wanting. We've applied 3 coats, followed all the instructions, and now it's time to start assembling. So take the one plank and pop it on here on these 2 resting boards, because we're going to be doing some measuring and drilling now. What we do know is that the width of this is 180. I want to find smack bang in the middle, which we know is 90. So I want to just make a little mark there, right? Because this is where we are now measuring to drill the hole where, if you imagine if this was the thread bar, is going to be going through it, okay? So to make life easier, from the outside, I'm just going to use 2 of the width of this ruler. So there's the one, move it across, there's the second, we make our mark there, right? Where those 2 intersect, just like that, which is going to be there and there, that's where they intersect. That is where we're going to drill. All right, let's do the same to the other side. All right, folks, drilling is all done. Now what we're going to do is take your first plank, put it over here, all right, and this is where you start with the thread bar. Now, this is where a lot of threading and twisting is going to take place, because this is what is going to happen. You are going to place the little nut on, and this is 8mm thread bar, by the way, and you buy the matching little bolts and the little washers as well. You don't have to use the washers, but I just like using them. So get that guy on. This is going to go on top. So you'll get the idea as soon as we put the first one together. So there it is, nut washer. You then thread it through, push it through the hole. Okay, there we go. Okay, right. Once that is in place, we then take washer, nut, same thing on the underside. Then we push that down, thread this little guy through, windy, 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 a little 13mm spanner, and you just tighten them up. Right, one in place, we do exactly the same for the other side. Right, folks, so there's the thread bar. We've got nut washer, washer nut. Now what we need to do is from the top of that thread bar, we need to put on another nut and a washer, and we're going to do the same on the other side. Then we thread the next shelf through, and then you repeat the same process. Don't stress too much about your distance at the moment. The first step is to just get those nuts on and the washers, because that takes a lot of time. And the easiest way to do that is to flip this guy up like that, stand up, and you do it from the top. Here we go. And then you're gonna go on here. Get you on over here. Right, and then it's gotta give it a bit of a... Beautiful! Love it! And you know what comes next? On with the next nut. Same on this side. And exactly the same on the other side. look at that. 3 shells floating with this lovely antique look and the industrial, whatever we want to call it, of the thread bar. It's looking really funky. Now all that's left to do is to take this gadget, and this is an eye bolt on a thread bar, and this guy over here is a thread bar joiner, right? So we take that and we pop that onto the top here. All right, don't thread it all the way in. And then you take the eye bolt with the thread bar and you pop that on. And now you can see how it's going to work. We do the same to the other side. And depending on what your application is and what you've got to hang it off, that all depends on how you would finish this mechanism here. Stay with us as after the break we hang our wooden shelf and plant up some pots to go along with it. In today's episode of The Gardener, we started off by building a 3-tier hanging shelf with subtle colours, thanks to a tinted wood sealant. Right folks, this guy's had enough time to dry. It's now time to put it up. So I've already put my eye bolt up there. It's an open eye bolt with a screw mechanism, drilled a little pilot hole and popped it into the rafter. Because I'm difficult and I want things just in the right place, I have got some extensions, and this is just the normal thread bar, the same that we used, and I've got a coupling here. So all I'm going to be doing is taking this off. Remember that eye bolt that we attached here. So that's going to come off, and I'm just going to add this extension on. Now, there are simpler ways of doing it, I'm told, except yours truly, of course, wants to hang it up. But it's going to look gorgeous on the wall. So first up is to get this little eye out. Right, there it is. And all I'm going to do is add the extension in. And then all I simply do is just thread it on. Right, that's on nicely. Now remember the eye bolt that we had originally on here, I'm simply extending it and putting it onto the extension of the thread bar. And you love it when a plan comes together. Look at this baby, looking gorgeous. All it needs now is some beautiful pots. Let's get to it. Alrighty folks, so now comes the part where I'm needing to put some plants on there. Now this particular little patio, veranda, stoep, better word, gets a good amount of morning light, which means it's quite versatile. So we could even add in a few indoor plants, which are actually just shaded plants, remember, and I've got a few little succulents here. So I want to get them potted up, nice little terracotta pots. This is a 16 centimeter, will do the job just fine, because remember with shelving, always consider the final height of your plant so that you're not squashing it in there. We've got some crocks, which you know are broken bits of terracotta pots, or you can just use gravel for the base. So let's get those in. Found one that fits in the base here, perfect. A bit of soil in here. Now we've got a potting soil mixture. Remember, fresh potting soil, that's all we're needing. So a wee bit in the base, and then let's get this beautiful crassula. So this crassula is Ovata Red Edge. Crassulas are incredibly hardy, very, very tough. Can cope with quite a bit of shade as well as full blazing sun. So a really good customer for where I'm wanting to finally have it. So teasing the roots a little bit. There we have it. And then let's pop him in here. Get the little baby in. Right, this baby is good to go. And now I've got a little sedum here. Now these little sedums are spectacular. Why? Oh, I want to show you why. So these little sedums during winter, they go red, red, red. It's sedum rubiginosum. But now look, off that one little leaf. Do you see that little nunu there? look, there's its baby coming. There's the little Nunu. So if we took that leaf and we just put it down in a pot, or we even just left it there, it's going to eventually make a big brother. Completely amazing. You can even see its little roots. Right, let's get this little baby in here, and let's get this guy out. And remember, they love tight spaces, so they'll be entirely happy here. They're not going to get too much sun, so they're not going to dry out a lot, which is another added bonus. But look at that, fantastic. And of course, in this process, as one does with potting when gardening, is that you've got to make a mess. Together with the other bits, I've got some peperomias, a little haworthia, another little sedum, and they're all going to enjoy the same conditions because it's getting 2 to 3 hours of sunlight a day. And all that I've got to do now is just put them in place. When you need a quick and efficient tool to clean up outside your house, then a powerful high-pressure cleaner is the way to go. Simply connect a watering hose to the high-pressure cleaner, add the optional cleaning agent and spray jet, and off you go. I'm using a stone and facade cleaning agent, which reliably dissolves tough green growth, grime and dust. Spray the agent, let it sit for a bit, and blast it off using the concentrated jet nozzle to quickly and efficiently remove and clean a variety of hard-wearing surfaces. These guys come in a range of different power brands and sizes, from handy compact devices to professional models. So with 3 humble pieces of wood, a bit of thread bar, some coloured sealant, it looks fab, beautiful pots, we made a complete mess and cleaned it up with a really cool gadget. AMC, wat dink jy? Are you happy? I think Amy approves, and I do too. It's been a great DIY and really is completely satisfaction to be able to sit here and enjoy it, because that's the best part about gardening, isn't it? After the break, we visit a residential garden in the heart of Josie, where owner Michael Hogan has created his very own hidden paradise. In today's episode of The Gardener, we started off by building a fabulous hanging shelf, elevated by a light blue finish. We installed the shelf on my cottage patio and finished it off with some shade-tolerant plants. Now we visit the city garden of interior designer Michael Hogan, where he has created a secret garden in the heart of bustling Johannesburg. The use of Ficus pumila, or known as tiki creeper, on the walls and the summer flowering star jasmine around the arches create a really impressive welcoming as you enter the property. Formal elements and colour are introduced through potted pelargoniums and clipped topiary trees.
We bought the property about 25 years ago, and the garden was pretty derelict. We had to do major renovations to the house, and we had we planted a very traditional English country garden, and at one stage we had about 1,400 roses and all the prim and proper flower beds, all color-coded and everything. And it was all very pretty, and about 10 years ago we did another major renovation to the house, and we relocated the swimming pool, and the previous swimming pool we converted into an eco pond, and we redid the garden completely and made it all wild. I ripped out all the roses, and I've gone slightly indigenous, quite grassy, a bit of a meadow effect with very strong elements of formality.
One gets a slight glimpse of the courtyard garden as you enter the double volume doors, but there is a feeling of contemplated juxtaposition as you enter the main garden. The garden has a relaxed and imparts an overgrown feel about it, while formal elements give the sense that this garden could be a secret space.
We've got a very formal garden pavilion that overlooks the garden. All the walls around the property are completely covered, and at night time you feel like you're sitting in a forest. From the garden pavilion, I've got informal stepping stones going through the garden. I've chosen a very large one so you don't go tripping over them all the time, and I've gone for very wild planting in between. You then cross over into the formal areas, so everything's kind of juxtapositioned between the formal and the informal.
Something that makes the garden pop even more is Michael's love of dark paint on walls. It allows built structures just to simply disappear while creating the perfect canvas for green and vibrant colors.
We're now in the area between the old swimming pool and the new swimming pool. We built a new swimming pool in the full sun because the old swimming pool got shaded over the years, and we've turned the old swimming pool into an eco pond. This area I've gone more, it's pretty wild, and I've gone for more indigenous planting than the rest of the garden. It's a bird paradise, and we've got a huge population of frogs and owls and cormorants that visit this area. The new swimming pool is very formal. It dissects the garden, it cuts it completely in half, which creates well, I hate the word, but it creates garden rooms. Around the swimming pool is fairly formal, and then it breaks into this very natural sort of planting between the building up to the eco pond. This is predominantly a green garden. I've used very strong contrasts in terms of color. There are a lot of different leaf textures and different leaf shapes. I've gone for very strong contrasts. And then I've gone for limited color, but quite a fruit salad with big pop-ups of bright colors, like the Watsonias behind me. And I've gone more for hot tropical colors, the oranges and the reds and purples and the sort of really bright jewel colors as a change from the soft pastels that I've had for so many years.
Michael may dislike the term garden rooms, but what he has proved is that you can very well mix garden styles to blend different areas seamlessly. Well, that's it for this week, folks. Take care of you and yours, and most importantly, till next week, happy gardening.